Good afternoon, everyone. Is the screen visible to all? Is it shared to all of you? Is my voice audible to all of you? If you say yes, then I will start.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, good afternoon, all of you. So, those who are writing for the GATE exam, so we are going to discuss different concepts which we cover in GATE. So, I am going to discuss the concepts algorithms. So, in algorithms, we have the topics like searching, sorting, hashing, and like asymptotic notations. What is the worst case, time complexity, best case, average case, like that, performance analysis, space complexity, time complexity. And we have different algorithm design techniques like divide and conquer, greedy method, dynamic programming, backtracking, branch and bound. So these are the concepts which we need to cover under this subject algorithms. So we will go through that. So what is an algorithm means? Algorithm is nothing but the way you are going to solve a problem, or the set of instructions which are used to solve a particular problem. We call it as an algorithm. So here you need to follow some characteristics for the algorithm. Just I will go through the theory concepts fastly. So characteristics of an algorithm, every algorithm have five characteristics mainly. First one is input, next one is output, and we have definiteness, effectiveness, and finiteness. So input means every algorithm we are going to give, for every problem there will be an input. So sometimes we will write the program just to display some message. In that case, we are not going to have any input. So input can be either zero or more. And next one is output. So what is the result that we are getting from the algorithm? We call it as the output. So we run the algorithm for getting the output, so at least one output is required. So output can be one or more. And definiteness, what do you mean by definite? Means every instruction in the algorithm what you are specifying at each step, it should be clear. What operation it has to perform has to be specified clearly. So we call the characteristics as definiteness. And effectiveness, so you should be able to do that every instruction manually also by using pen on paper. Okay, so you should give the instruction as effective, that you can be able to do that manually. And finiteness means the algorithm must and should have finite number of instructions. That means that for every algorithm there should be some terminating point. So without termination means we will not call it as an algorithm. So these are the five characteristics that an algorithm must and should possess: input, output, definiteness, effectiveness, and finiteness. And we have to analyze the algorithm. Once we write the algorithm for a particular problem, we have to analyze the algorithm. What do you mean by analysis of an algorithm means? So what resources that an algorithm requires, how much memory it is going to take, how much time it is going to take, what other resources it is going to require. We are going to analyze that resources. So we call that as an analysis of an algorithm. So coming to analysis, it can be priori analysis or it can be posteriori analysis. What do you mean by priori analysis means? So without executing that, you are going to estimate the resources that are required for that particular algorithm, that we call it as priori analysis. And posteriori analysis means what is the actual amount of space or time that the algorithm takes. We call that as posteriori. So usually without executing that algorithm, if you are estimating it prior, we call it as priori analysis. And after execution of that algorithm on the machine, what is the actual resources that it is going to take, we call it as posteriori analysis. So here we are just going through the priori analysis. Without executing, we are going to estimate how much space or how much time it is going to take. So in order to analyze this algorithm, we are going to use some asymptotic notations like big O notation, theta notation, omega notation, little o, like that. So what is the maximum time that the algorithm will take to solve the problem, and what is the minimum time, and what is the average time that it will take? Based on that, we are going to use these notations. Okay, average notation means we will go for the theta notation, and if we are going for the maximum time, that you are going for big O, and if it is minimum time required, that we go for omega notation. So there are certain conditions for this. So whenever you are going to take a particular function and you are going to write that function in other form, let us take two functions f of n and g of n. If you are going to write that f of n which is less than or equal to some constant c into g of n, then we call that f of n is of big O notation. And if it is f of n greater than or equal to some constant c into g of n, we will call it as omega notation. And if we take two constants c1 and c2, and if that function is between that, then we call it as average notation. So we are going to represent by using these notations the time complexity as well as the space complexity. And what is in general space complexity means what is the fixed part and variable part that exists in the algorithm, that is summation of fixed part and variable part. Fixed part in the sense it does not depend on the instance characteristics of the input, whereas variable part depends on the instance characteristics of the input. So the summation of these two values is going to give you the space complexity of a particular algorithm. And whereas time complexity of a algorithm, so how many instructions are there in that particular algorithm which are executable instructions, and how many times each instruction is going to execute. So we are going to calculate the product of the set of statements which are going to be executed and how many times they are going to get executed, and finally total executions is going to give you the time taken to execute that particular algorithm. So by using count table method or by using frequency, we are going to compute the time complexity of a particular algorithm. So here we have the first concept, searching. So what is searching means? So whenever you are going to search for a particular element in a given list of elements, we call that as searching. So the search it can be successful or it can be unsuccessful. If the element which you are going to search is present in the given list means we will call it as a successful search. If not means we call it as unsuccessful search. So here we will go for two types of searching algorithms, linear search and binary search. So what is the linear search means? So when you are going to search for a particular element in the given list by going through each element one by one in the array, then we will call it as linear search or sequential search. So you are going to compare your element which you are going to search. Let that element be the key element if we consider. So you are going to compare that key element starting from the first element in the list one by one. So we call such type of search as linear search. So the way we are going to search means we will take an array of size n and we will search from first location onwards with the key element, and whenever the element which you are searching is found means you are going to return the position of that particular element. If not, it is going to return -1. So here you are going to search the complete list one by one. So maximum you are going to go through all the n elements in the list. So the time taken to search for a particular element in the given list using linear search is order of n. But in the best case, if your element is found in the first location of the list itself means we are going to have only one comparison. So the best case time complexity is it is order of 1. And worst case is it is order of n. So the time complexity for linear search is order of n. So let us take an example. I think you already know, but I will go quickly. So let us consider an array of 7 elements. So you are going to search for an element 15. So we will start searching from the 0 index onwards. So our element 15 will be compared with 0th position, that is 92. so which is not equal. So we will compare with 87, and then we will go for 53, and then we will go for 10, and then we will go for fifth position. So it will be compared, and as the element is found, so it will return the position of that element found in that list. If at all if the element which you are searching is not found in that list means, then it comes under unsuccessful search. So whether your element is found in the list or whether the element is not found, you have to go through all the n elements in the list. So for successful search as well as unsuccessful search, the time complexity is going to be order of n, but only the best case it is going to be order of 1. And that is the linear search. And coming to binary search, so binary search means you are going to use divide and conquer strategy here. So you are going to divide the list by finding the mid element. So your key element is going to be compared with the mid element first. So you are going to have 3 comparisons in the binary search. So first your key element is going to be compared with the mid element. So whenever you have a list of size n, you will find the mid element. So first your key element will be compared with the mid element. If it is not same means, then you will go for the comparison whether your key element is less than mid or your key element is greater than mid. If it is less than mid means, then you will go for only left search, left sublist. If it is greater than mid means, you will go for the right sublist. So depending on the condition, whether you will go for the left or right. So you will not going to be searching for the entire list as like linear search. So here the time complexity is going to be order of log n, as you are not going to go through the all n elements in the list. So the time complexity is going to get reduced in binary search. So it is going to be order of log n. So why? Because we are going to represent that by using some recurrence relation. So for binary search, t of n by 2 plus 1. So when you solve that recurrence relation using substitution method, so how to solve that recurrence relation using the substitution method or by using master theorem, I will tell you. So we have to use substitution method to solve that recurrence relation. So t of n equal to t of n by 2 plus 1 మీరు solve చేస్తే కనుక you will get the time complexity is order of log n. So you are going to search for only half of the list. So t of n equal to t of n by 2 plus 1. Plus 1 means we are going to have one comparison. So depending on whether your key is equal to mid or less than or greater than. So when you solve that recurrence relation, you are going to have the time complexity of order of log n. Whenever you, here in the best case means whenever your key element is equal to mid element means you are going to have only one comparison. So that comes under the best case of binary search. So let us take this example. So how to search for a particular element in the list using binary search. So let us consider I am going to search for element 15 in the given list. So first we are going to find the mid element. So we have 7 elements. So mid element is going to be a of 3. So 15 will be compared with 20. So our key element is not equal to the mid. Now we will have the comparison whether key element is less than mid or greater than mid. So mid value is 20. So our key element is 15. So as key element is less than mid, we have to go for only left sublist. So left sublist, we will go for left sublist. So in the left sublist, we will have the elements 3, 10, 15. Again, we will find the mid. So that is 10. So our key element 15 will be compared with 10. As it is greater than mid, so we'll go for right sublist of that. So in the right sublist, we have only one element and our mid is also going to be that element. So our key element is compared with a of 2. So now the element is found, so it will return the position. So by dividing the given list into two sublists, and we will have the comparison. First it will compare with mid, and then if not means it will check whether it is less than or greater than. If it is less means we will go for only left sublist. If it is greater than means we will go for right sublist. Like that, searching for a particular element will take place using binary search. So it is having the time complexity of order of log n. So advantages, what we say means there is no need to go for all the n elements in the list. We have to eliminate half of the list for further searching. So time will take less in binary search compared to linear search. And when we talk about disadvantages of binary search, so we are going to recursively call that we are going to find the mid element, and then by dividing the list into left or right, again in the left we have to find the mid. So we are recursively calling that function. So it requires more stack space in order, so memory is more required for binary search. Now coming to sorting. Sorting means arranging the elements in some order. We call it as sorting. So we will go for some sorting techniques. So first one is selection sort. So how selection sort works? So let us consider the example. So we are going to arrange the given list in ascending order. So using selection sort, first it is going to find the first smallest element in the list. First smallest element it will find, and it will put that smallest element first in the list. And then for the remaining elements, again it is going to find the next smallest element, and then it is going to place that element in the second as the second element in a sorting order. And then it is going to search for the next smallest element. Like that, it is going to find the smallest element in the list, next smallest element, next smallest element, like that, and then it is going to place that element in the sorting order. So if you take this here in this example of 5 elements, so from the 5 elements, smallest element is 2. So first it will put that 2 in the as the first element in the sorting order. Now for the remaining element 6, 11, 7, 5, again the next minimum element is 5. So it is going to place that 5 in the as the second element in the sorting order. Now in the left out element 6, 7, 11, the next is 6. So it places like that. So like that, selection sort is going to place the elements in the sorting order. So this is the steps how selection sort is going to arrange the elements in the sorting order. So for 6 to minimum element, it will find and place that 2 in the first place. And then for the remaining elements, again it is fine, and it places the next minimum element like that. So the time complexity for this selection sort, so we are going to have two nested loops here. So first minimum element it will put, and then next it again it is going to search for next minimum element, again it is going to search for next minimum element, like that. So it is going to take the time complexity of order of n square. So the time complexity for selection sort is order of n square. So either it is best case or average case or worst case, we have to go through the 10 elements, and at every iteration we are going to find the next minimum element. So we are going to have order of n square. So time complexity for selection sort is order of n square. And coming to space complexity, it is order of 1. We are going to sort the elements in that array itself with no extra memory we need. So the space complexity is going to be order of 1. And next one is bubble sort. So the other type of sorting technique is bubble sort. So here bubble sort uses multiple passes through the array. So in every pass, bubble sort is going to compare the adjacent elements of the array. So it will compare the adjacent elements, and if they are not in the sorting order, it is going to arrange. If they are already in sorting order, then it will leave like that. So like that, bubble sort is going to arrange the elements in the sorting array. So if you take the same example, so it is going to first compare 6 and 2. 6 will be compared with the adjacent element 2. So as 6 is greater than 2, so as it is not in the sorting order, it is going to swap. So 2 will come first and then 6. And then again, we are going to have comparison with next adjacent elements. So we'll have the comparison with 6 and 11. So they are in the sorting order. So it will be like that. Next 11 with 7. So 7 and 11 will be swapped. And then 11 with 5. So as they are not in the sorting order, 5 and 11 will be swapped. So that is the first pass. And then again, after one pass, again second pass. So like that, in multiple passes, it is going to compare the adjacent elements. If it is not in the sorting order, it will arrange. So like that, it is going to arrange the elements in the sorting order. That we call it as bubble sort. Comparing adjacent elements. So here, the time complexity for the bubble sort is also order of n square. So we are going to have multiple passes here to arrange the elements. So we'll have order of n square. The worst case time complexity is order of n square. So if at all the list is already in the sorting order, so in that case, the best case time complexity is order of n. So we don't need multiple passes, just we have to go through that list of n elements in that array once. So it is going to have the best case time complexity of bubble sort is order of n, whereas worst case is order of n square, and average case also order of n square. So best case of bubble sort order of n if the list is in sorting order, whereas average case or worst case it is going to be n square. And the space complexity, we are not taking any extra space for storing the result of that particular array. We are changing the elements in that array itself. There is no need of having the extra space. So it is going to have the space complexity is order of 1. And the next one is insertion sort. So here it also does not need any extra space. So no auxiliary data structure is required for insertion sort also. So let us consider an example how insertion sort takes place. So first it will take the minimum element. So and then it will be, that is second element it will take, and it will check whether the elements before that element is smaller or not. It will check like that. So if it is so, it is going to swap. So the second element is 2 here. So it checks whether it is smaller than any elements before it or not. So we have before that element 2, we have the element is 6, as 2 is less than 6. So it is going to shift that to the right. So 2 will be shifted before and 6 will be shifted to the right. And then it is going to take the next element. And then it will check like that. The elements before that elements are smaller than or not. If one of the elements is not smaller, it will swap like that. And it will shift that elements to the right of that element. So like that, for every position, it will check whether the before elements of that element is smaller or not. If it is not so, it is going to shift that elements to the right side of it. Like that, it is going to sort the elements in the sorting order. That is how insertion sort takes place. So this is step by step example. So if you take 2, 2 will be compared with 6. So are there any elements which are smaller than 2? So 6 2 కన్నా ఎక్కువ కాబట్టి 6 అనే ఎలిమెంట్ ని move to the right. So 2 will go first and then 6. And again it will compare with third element. And any elements before that which are greater than 2 it or not. Again it will check key element. So key element of 13 will 11 will be checked with 6 and then with 2. So here for this also time complexity is going to be order of n square. If we are already in the sorting order, we are going to have the time complexity of order of n. And next one is merge sort. So merge sort uses divide and conquer technique. So merge sort is going to divide the list into two lists, and then again it will take the left sublist, and then again it will find the mid element, and then again it will divide the list into sublist. Like that, it will divide the list into sublist until it can't divide the list further. So up to that extent, it is going to divide the list into sublist. So once dividing the list into sublist has been stopped means, then it will start comparing. Now merging takes place. For example, if you take an example of n elements, if we are going to divide, let's take an example. So let it take an array of 6 elements. So it is going to find the mid element. So it is going to divide into two sublists. Each sublist having 3 elements, 6 to 11, 7, 5, 4. Again it will take 6 to 11. Again it will find the mid element. So and divide the list 6, 2 and 11. Again 6, 2 will be divided into two sublists, 6 and 2. So and then we can't divide it further now. 6 and 2 again it will not be divided. So it will compare now. It will compare 6 and 2, and it will arrange that in the sorting order. And then the first two elements will be compared with the third element, and then those three elements will be placed in the sorting order. Like that, in the right sublist also, it will divide the list into sublist until it can't divide it. Once the dividing the list into sublist has been stopped means, it will compare. So at last we are going to have two sublists which are sorted individually. Now we have to arrange those two sublists into one list in the sorting order. So that is merging takes place. So how that merging takes place means, so if we have the two sublists, let us take this left half subarray and the right half subarray. So first it will compare the first element in the left sublist and the first element in the right sublist. So here in this example we have 2 and 4. So 2 and 4 will be compared. As 2 is less than 4, we will move that 2 to the sorted array. We will move 2. We will move 2. And then after moving 2, the element which we have sended from the sublist, that sublist pointer will get incremented. So మనం 2 ని మూవ్ చేసాం కాబట్టి, so that pointer will get incremented. So now it is at position 6. So now 6 will be compared with 4. So as 4 is less than 6, so we will move 4 to the sorted list. Now as we have moved this element, so this pointer will get incremented. Now 6 will be compared with 5. So as 5 is less than 6, now 5 will be moved to the sorted list. And now the pointer j will move to 7. Now 6 will be compared with 7. As 6 is less than 7, this element will be moved to the sorted array. Now the I pointer will get incremented. Now 11 will be compared with 7. As 7 is less than 11, so 7 will move to the sorted list. Now the element which is left is 11. Next that element will be moved. So like that, two sublisting, again it is going to place that in the sorting order. So that is merge sort. First it is going to divide the list into sublist by finding the mid element. Again it will take the left sublist, again it will find the mid element, and then it will take the sublist, and then again it will find the mid element. So like that it will divide the elements until it can't divide the list further. It will divide it. Once dividing the list has been stopped means, then it will compare the first two elements and arrange that in the sorting order, and the 1 2 elements will be compared with the third element and it will be placed in the sorting order, like that. So finally we are going to have two sublists which are in the sorting order, and again we are going to keep those two elements, keep those two sublists as the final list which are in the sorting order. Like that merge sort takes place. So we are going to have order of n log n time complexity for this merge sort. So order of n log n. Why it is order of n log n means, so we are going to have sublist. So t of n equal to 2 into t of n by 2. And then we are going to have to arrange all those elements in the sorting order. Two sublists వచ్చిన తర్వాత మళ్ళీ again we are going to have to place all them in the sorting order. So we need to merge those two subarrays by using merging procedure. So that merging requires order of n. So the recurrence relation for merge sort is 2 into t of n by 2 plus order of n. So when you solve this recurrence relation, you are going to have the time complexity of n log n. And space complexity is n required. And then is quicksort. So quicksort, so we will consider the element pivot element and we will have the comparison. So here also in quicksort we are going to take initially one element as the pivot element. Let us consider first element of the array as the pivot element, and then we are going to have two pointers, so left and right. So we are going to have the comparison. So if our a of left is less than or equal to pivot means, then we will increment the left pointer, and then if a of right is greater than or equal to pivot, we will decrement the right pointer. So in each iteration, if at all our left pointer has not crossed the right pointer means, then we will swap a of left with a of right. If at all they have been crossed means, we will swap a of right with the pivot. So like that we are going to have the comparisons in the quicksort, and then we are going to arrange those elements in the sorting order. For example, ఇక్కడ మీరు తీసుకున్న example లో pivot 25 అని first element. So a of 0, a of left is less than or equal to pivot. So we will come to here. So 10 less than or equal to pivot. So it is true. We will come to here. A of 2, 30 less than or equal to pivot. So it is not true. So the pointer will stop here. Now a of right, that is 28 greater than 25. The condition is true. Okay. So it will get decrements. And then a of 20, a of 4, that is 20 greater than 20, the condition is false. So it will get stopped. Now it will check the condition whether left pointer has crossed the right pointer or not. If the left pointer has not crossed means, then those two elements will get swapped. If it is crossed means, then a of right will be swapped with the pivot element. Like that swapping takes place. So for this, the time complexity is order of n log n, but in the worst case, if when you are going to divide, మీ pivot element ని first correct position లో place చేస్తారు. The elements which are less than the pivot will be smaller than the pivot, and which are right to the pivot are the elements which are greater than the pivot. So we are going to have two sublists. First we will find the correct position for the pivot element. So once you find the correct position for the pivot element, you are going to have two sublists. So the elements in the left sublist are smaller than the pivot, and the elements right side to the pivot are greater than the pivot. Now again you will take the left sublist, and again you will consider the first element as the pivot, and then again you are going to have the comparisons. So like that. So the time complexity is order of n log n, but the worst case law, if the position of the pivot occupies the correct position తర్వాత మీకు ఒక లిస్ట్ లో ఏమో 1 ఎలిమెంట్, ఒక లిస్ట్ లో ఏమో n-1 ఎలిమెంట్స్ అలా వచ్చింది అనుకోండి సిచ్యువేషన్, then in that case you are going to have the worst case time complexity as n square. So the worst case time complexity for quicksort is n square, but the best or average cases it is going to be order of n log n. The worst case is order of n square. And the next one is a heap sort algorithm. So heap sort లో ఎలిమెంట్స్ ని సార్టింగ్ ఆర్డర్ లో ఎలా ప్లేస్ చేస్తారంటే, ఫస్ట్ యూ విల్ కన్స్ట్రక్ట్ a binary tree with the given list of elements, and we will transform that binary to minimum heap, and then we will delete the root element from that minimum heap using heap5 method, and then the element whatever you are removing, that element will be placed as the element in the sorted list, and you will repeat that until the heap becomes empty. And then finally the elements which are in the మీరు ఏ రూట్ ని అయితే డిలీట్ చేసి ఇంకొక లిస్ట్ లో పెడుతున్నారో, ఫైనల్లీ దట్ లిస్ట్ ఈస్ గోయింగ్ టు బి ద ఎలిమెంట్స్ విచ్ ఆర్ ఇన్ ద సార్టింగ్ ఆర్డర్. So just one example. So you are taking some elements. So first you have to construct the binary tree for the given elements. So after constructing the binary tree, you have to convert that to minimum heap, or you can convert to maximum heap. ఎలా అయినా కన్వర్ట్ చేయొచ్చు. maximum heap అంటే ఏంటంటే the root, the parent should be the max element compared to, and then minimum heap it should be less. So మీరు minimum heap or maximum heap ఎలా అయినా చేసుకోవచ్చు. So in this example we are converting to maximum heap. So maximum heap convert చేయాలంటే it should be, the root should be the, the parent should be the maximum element. So here మీరు ఎలిమెంట్స్ ఏ ఆర్డర్ లో ఇచ్చారో ఆ ఎలిమెంట్స్ లోనే ఫస్ట్ ట్రీ కన్స్ట్రక్ట్ చేయండి. సో టు కన్వర్ట్ టు maximum heap, so the parent should be the maximum value compared to its children. So you have to convert like that using heap5 method, convert that to maximum heap. Once you convert to maximum heap, సో ఇక్కడ మీకు ట్రీలో యాక్చువల్గా రూట్ 82 వచ్చింది, దాని చైల్డ్ 90 and 10. బట్ మాక్సిమం హీప్ కన్వర్ట్ చేయాలంటే రూట్ పేరెంట్ అనేది మాక్సిమం ఉండాలి, కాబట్టి ఐఎమ్ స్వాపింగ్ 90 with 82. సో 82 will come down and 90 will go up. And then after 82 కి చైల్డ్ వచ్చేసి 12, 15. 82 కి చైల్డ్ వచ్చేసి 12, 15 అవుతుంది. అగైన్ 12, 15 are the smallest elements, so you have to make it again maximum heap. So 23 child group, 23 is maximum element compared to 12, so again it will move up like that. So you have to convert to maximum heap. Once you change it to maximum heap, root node ఏదైతే ఉంటుందో you have to delete that element. So to delete that element which is the root of that maximum heap, you have to swap that root of that tree with the last node of the tree. So in this example the last node is 12. So to delete 90 you have to swap 9. When you delete 90 you have to make the root as 12. So again the tree will change like this. Now again you have to convert it to maximum heap. maximum heap కన్వర్ట్ చేసినాక రూట్ నోడ్ ని మీరు డిలీట్ చేయాలి. రూట్ నోడ్ ని డిలీట్ చేసినప్పుడు లాస్ట్ చైల్డ్ తో యూ హ్యావ్ టు స్వాప్, ఆర్ యూ మేక్ ద లాస్ట్ చైల్డ్ యాజ్ అ రూట్. అగైన్ యూ హ్యావ్ టు కన్వర్ట్ టు maximum heap. So like that మీరు ఏ ఎలిమెంట్ అయితే రిమూవ్ చేస్తున్నారో you are going to place that element in that separate list, and finally the order in which you have deleted the elements from the maximum heap, once you check that list to be the elements in the sorting order. So like that, heap sort is going to arrange the elements in the sorting order. So first I have deleted 90 from the maximum heap. 90 is the root of the tree, so first I have deleted that 90, so I am going to place that in the separate list. And after that, 82, in the maximum heap, 82 is the root, so I am going to remove that root 82, and then I replace that root with the last child of that heap. So like that. So finally we are going to have the elements in the sorting order, that is heap sort. And then we have radix sort. So radix sort means we are going to arrange that elements based on the number of digits that are present in that elements. So ఒక్కొక్క buckets లో కానీ మనం క్యూ కానీ ఏదైనా అనొచ్చు. We are going to place that elements based on the significant, I mean least significant digit. So first మనం units place లో ఉన్న values ని బట్టి we are going to arrange that elements. So units place లో 0 ఉంది. 0 ఉంటే first, next 1 ఉంటే next bucket, next 2, like that we are going to arrange the elements. And then we are going to write all that elements in the order in which you have placed those in the buckets or queue, whatever you call. And then next we are going to have the next position, that is tens place. And then we are going to arrange those elements based on the tens place position, and again you are going to write that in the sorting order. And next we are going, if at all we have 3 digits numbers means we have to pass that 3 times. If we have 4 digits means we have 4 times, the algorithm will go for the 4 times pass. So like that. So here we have the maximum number is 10901, which is a 3 digit number. So the algorithm will go for 3 passes. So finally, so whatever the elements that are present in that queues one by one, if we write in the order in which we have placed those numbers in the queue, it will give you the last final sorted list. So like that, radix sort is going to arrange the elements in the sorting order based on the least significant positions. First units place, then tens place, next hundreds place, like that. Based on the position, it is going to arrange those elements in the queue or buckets, and then it is going to arrange those elements in the sorting order. So these are the different types of sorting. We have selection sort, insertion sort, bubble sort, merge sort, quick sort, heap sort, radix sort. And what is the time complexity for each sorting technique? What is the best case and what is the worst case time required? So based on these concepts, we'll go for some bits. First I will go for the concepts, and then I will cover the what type of bits that will come on these concepts. So I will stop here. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. First I will cover the theory concepts, and then we will solve some bits based on those concepts. Yes, if you have any doubts, you can ask me, or we will leave. Again, you have one more class, I think so.